So today I am going to discuss all about coronary artery disease. In my previous slide, I have discussed the coronary circulation. So as we know that heart require oxygen along with some nutrients, and that is supplied by coronary arteries, and the deoxygenated or the less oxygenated blood from the myocardium is drained by cardiac vessels. Now, what is coronary artery disease? If the heart muscles, that is the myocardium, may not get sufficient oxygen, that means if there is an imbalance between the oxygen supply and the oxygen demand, there is malfunction in the myocardium or heart muscles, leading to coronary artery disease. It is also known as coronary heart disease or ischemic heart disease. Okay, so why such happens? If there is any kind of built up, like if cholesterol or other cellular debris, they deposit in the interior wall of the coronary artery, that is in the intima of the coronary artery, then the lumen of the artery becomes constricted or narrowed. So if the artery becomes narrower, it will limit the blood flow to the heart. That means heart will not get enough oxygen for nourishment. Okay, and this buildup is known as atherosclerosis. So if there is atherosclerosis, the heart will not get enough oxygen, and in subsequent course of time, the heart muscles limiting oxygen will die, and in severe condition it will lead to heart attack. Is it clear? Now this is the normal lumen of an artery. See, this is the intima or inner lining of the artery, and this one is the constricted lumen of the artery. What happens? This is the normal case. Here cholesterol deposition has started. This kind of cholesterol deposition may start in adolescence, and its subsequent effects may be severe in later ages. One may experience at early ages like 35 or 36. Okay, so in atherosclerotic condition, the cholesterol and the cellular products, they build up in the interior of the blood vessel. This is the plaque. Clear? And the plaque formation reduces the volume of the lumen so that the amount of coronary flow becomes reduced. This condition is known as coronary occlusion. Occlusion means there is obstruction. Okay. Now, there are two conditions developed from coronary artery disease: the angina and the myocardial infarction. In angina pectoris, see here the diagrams. This is the normal coronary artery carrying blood. Okay, this is the normal flow of blood. In angina, there is development of plaque. Here the plaque formation started to develop, and in angina it is more, the plaque is more, so it is harder for the blood to get through the artery. And if there is any kind of blood clot formation, that means total supply is somehow blocked through this blood vessel, it will lead to a massive heart attack. Okay, so clinically there are two conditions, angina pectoris and myocardial infarction, or we can call it heart attack. Now, what is angina pectoris? Angina means choking or a suffocation, and pectoris is related with chest. So, if there is any kind of acute chest pain or discomfort, we can call it angina. When it happens, if the heart muscle is not getting sufficient oxygen as well as nutrients, so that the myocardium becomes here. The myocardium gradually it becomes ill. Clear? So one can feel a chest pain. What are the feelings? Squeezing, pressure, heaviness, tightening. These kind of feelings one may encounter. And the symptoms associated with angina are indigestion, heartburn, weakness, sweating, cramping, like this. Clinically, there are three types of angina: stable angina, unstable angina, and variant angina. In case of stable angina, this is the chronic angina. One can encounter chest pain with emotional stress or in exertion. And this chest pain may be relieved with rest or by taking some medicines like nitroglycerin. Okay. Now, in case of unstable angina, this is the progressive one and more severe. It can be referred as acute coronary syndrome. One can encounter or feel any kind of chest pain in a sudden, so that medical diagnosis need to be addressed immediately. In case of variant angina, this is the recurrent angina. One can encounter chest pain at rest and at a particular time of the day, and this is due to coronary artery spasm. So these are clinically three main types of angina. Clear? Now, what is myocardial infarction? Myo means muscle, cardiac is related to heart, and infarction means death of tissue due to lack of blood supply. So myocardial infarction means death of the myocardial tissue due to lack of blood supply or lack of oxygen supply. It can lead to heart attack. Here, like this, suppose this is the coronary artery and this is the development of plaque. If there is plaque formation, the region beyond the plaque may not get sufficient oxygen and nourishment. Like here, this point, there is a plaque and the region beyond this clot is not getting enough oxygen and nourishment. So this area is becoming ill. Okay, this will lead to coronary occlusion and this will lead to severe heart attack. Now, so we have discussed that there are plaque formation. This is the main cause behind coronary artery disease. There is plaque formation in the lumen and which will constrict the luminal area as well as leading to decreased oxygen supply to heart muscle. We can categorize two plaques. There are two types of plaques: stable plaque and vulnerable plaque. So what is a typical plaque? A typical plaque is the dysfunction of the endothelium. The dysfunction of the endothelium, it is composed of fibrous cap, smooth muscles and lot of collagen and macrophage. Clear? So why this plaque develops? Due to the deposition of cholesterol and some kind of cellular waste material. This is known as atheroma. So what is atheroma? Atheroma is the development of fibrofatty plaque. Atheroma is the development of fibrofatty plaque in intima. This one, fibrofatty plaque in the intima. And plaque, if it grows, it will obstruct the blood flow. Clear? This one, if it grows, it will obstruct the blood flow. Early plaque, there is no ischemia. In the early stage of plaque development, there is no ischemia. But if more than 70% of the luminal obstruction is there, only allowing 30% blood flow, then it may develop to ischemia. So 70% luminal obstruction lead to the development of ischemia. So ischemic heart disease, we can call it as the group of clinico-pathological syndrome developed due to the imbalance of oxygen supply and oxygen demand. Clear? Now myocardia develop ischemia if there is imbalance between the oxygen supply and oxygen demand. Okay, so two types of ischemia. Ischemia developed due to insufficient supply of oxygen, and another category is isolated hypoxemia. Here only oxygen supply is reduced. But in case of ischemia, there are three aspects. What are the three aspects? There is reduced oxygen supply, there is reduced nutrient supply, and there is impairment in the washout of metabolic wastes. So the plaque formation leads to development of two conditions, ischemia and isolated hypoxemia. In case of ischemia, there are three aspects. The oxygen supply is low, the nutrient supply is low, and there is impairment in the washout of the metabolic wastes. So this is more severe. But in case of isolated hypoxemia, only the oxygen supply is reduced. When, like, one person is suffering from severe anemia, the blood flow is normal, but the oxygen carrying capacity of blood is low. So the person may develop a condition known as isolated hypoxemia. Clear? Now, in 99% of the cases, ischemic heart disease mainly develops in the left ventricle. Clear? Why? The left ventricle, the wall of the left ventricle is thicker than the right ventricle, and the partial pressure in the left ventricle is 120 millimeter of Hg. So it requires more pressure to thirst the blood or to circulate the blood throughout the body during systole. So there is total constriction of the coronary artery during the systole in the left ventricle. So one can encounter ischemic heart disease in the left ventricle. Okay. Now, what happens? Here we are discussing two plaques, two types of plaques, vulnerable plaque and stable plaque. What is a stable plaque? See, this one is the stable plaque and this is the vulnerable plaque. In stable plaque, there is a thick fibrous cap. See here, and the lipid core is less. But in case of vulnerable plaque, there is a thin fibrous cap. The lipid core is much more. So, if the lipid core is increasing in amount, there is high chance of spillage of the lipid core by or through the fibrous gap. Clear? So it is more vulnerable to rupture. The vulnerable plaque is more susceptible to rupture compared to stable plaque. Vulnerable plaque is also known as variable plaque. Clear? Now, see here. It is the stable plaque and this one is the vulnerable plaque. You can see the difference. Stable plaque, it causes a fixed obstruction as it is a fixed length. This one is the thick fibrous capsule. This is the foam cells, smooth muscle cells are here and this is the lipid core. In vulnerable plaque, the fibrous capsule, this one, the fibrous capsule is less here with numerous foam cells. Macrophages are also here. It is not labeled. Macrophages are also here. Now, what happens? What is the function of macrophage? Macrophage, it produces some metalloprotease that digest the fibrous material. In case of vulnerable plaque, the amount of macrophage is more. So macrophage will digest the fibrous capsule. So it is more vulnerable to rupture. Clear? Now what happens? See, this one is the endothelium. The outer part is the endothelium. Clear? This is the endothelium. In vulnerable plaque, what happens? It is very much susceptible to, write down, it is very much susceptible to erosion or ulceration, and it can undergo fissuring or rupture. So vulnerable plaques are more severe as it can undergo erosion or ulceration and fissuring or rupture. So this one is more dangerous. What happens? See, this is the endothelium. If the endothelium is somehow shaved off or it is removed, then the underlying basement membrane, which is having highly thrombogenic activity, it will induce the circulating platelets to adhere here. If the endothelium is somehow removed, the circulating platelets will come and aggregate here, adhere to the subendothelial collagen of basement membrane. So where the platelets bind? The platelets bind to the subendothelial collagen of basement membrane. That is the non-platelet surface. This phenomenon is known as platelet adherent. So platelets adhere to this portion. In the previous slide, see platelets. This one is the stable plaque. If somehow the endothelium is removed, the platelets will aggregate here, and this phenomenon is known as platelet adherent. In both condition, in both stable and unstable condition, platelets will stick together and it will lead to dysfunction of the endothelium, so that the endothelium can no longer produce sufficient nitric oxide, NO. And nitric oxide, if it is not produced, the endothelium will not repel platelets to accumulate here. So numerous platelets accumulated at this region, and the platelets now release more platelet aggregation factors, 5-hydroxytetramine, epinephrine, and other procoagulant substances. So when platelets aggregate at this point, it will release more factors which will lead to aggregation of more platelets, leading to a mass of platelets here, leading to a mass of platelets, that is the platelet aggregation site. Clear? And these platelets, they can also secrete platelet 3,4, which will enhance coagulation. The platelet 3,4 factors are the coagulating factors. What is coagulation? Coagulation is the process by which the soluble fibrinogen is converted to insoluble fibrin. Now, as the platelet 3,4 are released here, it induces the fibrin. It induces fibrin to be deposited over the platelet aggregate. See here, the surrounding, from the surrounding blood, the fibrinogen will be deposited in the form of insoluble fibrin over the platelet aggregate. Clear? Now, this structure is known as a thrombus. So, what is thrombus? Thrombus is the platelet aggregate along with fibrin. This is not thrombus. Here it is thrombus. See, this fibrinogen, this fibrin or blood clot, it totally blocks the lumen. In severe heart attack, the lumen of the heart is totally blocked, occluding the oxygen supply. So in all the cellular components like the foam cells, the macrophage, the fibrous cap, all are present here, and it will lead to neovascularization. Neovascularization means there is development of new blood vessels. At this point, new blood vessels are formed, and as these blood vessels are new, these are very much susceptible to rupture. Okay, so this will lead to intraplaque hemorrhage. Intraplaque hemorrhage leads to coronary artery blockage. So these thrombus may detach. Here, see, these are the lipid core, it's coming outside. In some cases or in severe condition, sometimes the thrombus may detach and it can embolize and obstruct the smaller arteries. See here, these are the finer arteries. These are the finer arteries. See, if thrombus is detached from this point, it can flow and it can obstruct these finer arteries, so leading to complete blockage beyond this point. Okay, so heart attack occurs when there is less or insufficient oxygen due to a blood clot from the plaque, so that the heart muscles may not get enough oxygen. Now I hope it is clear to you. Okay, this one is the plaque rupture. Now, how can we investigate what is the condition developed within our heart? We can detect it by ECG. ECG will be discussed later on in my subsequent classes. Just I am going to tell you that there is ST, either there is depression or the elevation. If there is ST element depression, we can say that there is ischemic heart disease. Okay, and if there is any kind of elevation, we can say that there is heart attack. Just this is for this class only. I will discuss it later. In cardiac enzymes, the cardiac enzymes are also acting as the biomarkers. We can detect the amount of CK, that is creatine kinase, lactate dehydrogenase, troponin, etc. These are the cardiac enzymes that need to be tested to know the condition of heart. and all are released in circulation when there is myocardial necrosis. Creatine kinase, it is found in heart muscles, in any skeletal muscle, and in brain also. Okay, so there are 3 isoforms of creatine kinase, and the amount of creatine kinase may increase after strenuous exercise and after subsequent heavy drinking of alcohol. The 3 forms of CK are CKMB, CKMM, and CKBB. CKMB is tested to know the heart damage. CKMM is tested to know if there is any muscle injury, and CKBB is tested to know any kind of brain damage. Okay, so these are the normal cardiac biomarkers. Nowadays LDH is not used as it is very non-specific. Troponin concentration also increases if there is any kind of heart damage. Okay, so these are the other tests one can perform: treadmill exercise test, thallium stress test, and this one is the most important, the coronary angiography. Now, what are the treatment regimen one can follow for angina pectoris? Angina pectoris, or the chest discomfort or pain, can be relieved by using some vasodilators like nitroglycerin or other nitrate drugs, as well as some beta blockers may be used to reduce the pain. But if there is any kind of plaque or blockage, it needs to be addressed through surgical removal. So there are 2 surgery one can go for. One is bypass surgery and another is angioplasty. Bypass surgery. See here, this is the great saphenous vein in the thigh. In bypass surgery or coronary artery bypass, the saphenous vein from the lower limb is used as a graft. This is the point at which obstruction occurs, and we can implant this graft here, bypassing the clot, so that oxygen and nourishment can be supplied beyond this clot to rest of the coronary part or circulation. So this is a kind of restoration measurement. Okay, now what is coronary angioplasty? In case of coronary angioplasty, the femoral artery, through the femoral artery, a catheter is inserted. See, look here, a catheter is inserted through the femoral artery to the coronary artery, the affected region here. The catheter is having a deflated balloon and a closed stent. This one is the normal intracoronary stent, metal stent. Okay. When it reaches to the plaque region, there is subsequent inflation and deflation of the balloon. As the balloon inflated, it compresses the plaque. So, see, as the plaque is compressed, the lumen enlarges. And now the stent is open and one can remove the catheter along with the balloon. So this is a kind of restoration process. This is the coronary angioplasty. It helps to widen and dilate the area of the block. Okay. This is the guide wire. Now this is all about coronary heart disease. Hope you understand. If there is any query, you can write me to this mail. Thank you.